Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Welcome to Extra Crispy. For today's video, we got one trade every NBA contender should make to go all in, man. So, obviously, there's a lot of fantastic teams in the NBA right now. My prediction is that the Lakers do win the finals. But with that being said, man, some of these teams, these contenders, they can make that big time splash to add that second or third, scoring option, maybe even the best player on their team to go all in and win a championship. So we're going to check these out by Bleacher Report, man. Zach Buckley, if you guys don't mind dropping that like, of course, subscribing to the channel. Let's go ahead and get going on this. So the first trade we got is the Philadelphia 76ers. We're going to hear about this one a little bit here, man. We got a trade of Ben Simmons, Tyrese Maxey, and a 2023 top 10 protected first round pick to the Houston Rockets for James Harden. So Daryl Morey was already talking about if he was to trade Ben Simmons away, he said he needs to get more than James Harden back, which I don't see a trade happening just because I feel like both sides, it's just not going to come to a conclusion. Obviously, James Harden is an MVP player. Ben Simmons is young, great playmaker. I mean, a future superstar of the NBA. He's currently already an all-star. I don't think he's quite a superstar yet. But, I could really see, both sides just eventually just not really come into anything and being a stalemate or whatever. I mean, I love the idea of James Harden on the 76ers, especially if he was to be, the point guard of the team. Him and Joel Embiid, nobody is stopping that duo. To me, James Harden and Embiid, if staying healthy, surrounded with the shooters of Seth Curry and stuff, Tobias Harris, to me, that team can get to the finals in the Eastern Conference. With Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, I feel like at this point we kind of know who they are, and it's that team could get to the finals. It could happen, but I do think with James Harden and Embiid, it will happen. So I don't know, man. What's that worth? I'm not really sure, but I could also see where the 76ers, it's Ben Simmons is younger and stuff, so... And they don't want to give up too much to get James Harden. So I just don't really see a trade happening, but it would be nice for both sides. I do think if they could come to a mutual actual agreement. Next up, we got the Toronto Raptors. We got Norman Powell, Chris Boucher, Patrick McCaw, and a 2022 top 8 pick to the Utah Jazz for Rudy Gobert. Okay, so I kind of get this for both sides. I feel like for the Utah Jazz, by the way, guys, I do have a Jazz rebuild today on my main channel, Crispy Flakes, where I actually did trade away Rudy Gobert. I did not do this trade. But, yeah, I mean, I do feel like the Raptors, they did get a bit worse, just losing Serge Ibaka and Marcus Gasol. But that's the thing, is, they are such a deep team. They have so many guys that probably will not even get, playing time just because there's other, really good guys on the roster, too. You can't run, a damn, 13-man rotation. So I feel like with this, I like Chris Boucher a lot. I like Norman Powell a lot. But, you already have OG as the starting small forward. I mean, you have Matt Thomas, who could be one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. You have, Terrence Davis off the bench. You do need to, solidify that center role. I mean, Chris Boucher and Aaron Baines, that's not, a bad rotation. But if you have, Rudy Gobert as your starting center playing with Siakam, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, all those guys, that is, to me, once again, man, that's a move that puts you into contention. And then you have Aaron Baines coming off the bench doing his stuff out there. It just seems like a good trade. And for the Utah Jazz side of things, it's well, if you don't want to pay a supermax contract to Rudy Gobert, then, obviously you're not going to get equal talent back for him. That's just not how trades really work in the NBA. But if you can get, two guys in Norman Powell and Chris Boucher plus a pick plus Patrick McCaw, which is guaranteed a ring, not really, but you don't know what I mean. If you can get those guys on your team, why wouldn't you go for that, right? I just feel like that's a pretty solid move, and they don't need Rudy Gobert. They would be fine with, a Derek Favors, Chris Boucher rotation, and again, Norman Powell just adds to it, man. So, yeah, I do like the trade for both sides. I think it makes sense. For the Dallas Mavericks, we got James Johnson, Tyrell Terry, and a 2025 lottery protected pick to the Magic for Aaron Gordon. I actually kind of like the idea of Aaron Gordon as the starting power forward. I feel like him and Kristaps Porzingis could be a nice little dynamic. I love the idea of Aaron Gordon using his athleticism, running transition, playing off Luka and stuff like that. It could work out nicely. And then for the Magic, it's I could see where the Magic wouldn't want to do this just because, they're not really getting, anything great back. I mean, Tyrell Terry, we don't know exactly what he'll be in the NBA. Getting the pick is nice, but I guess getting off of the contract of Aaron Gordon could be kind of a positive thing. I would be all for this 100% if Jonathan Isaac was playing this season, but he's going to be out with an ACL injury or whatever it was. So, I do think Isaac should be a power forward, not a small forward. So, I do kind of get it, taking a chance on a Tyrell Terry. Maybe something good comes out of it. I think it does make sense for both sides. It's not a bad trade. Okay. Next up, we got the Miami Heat. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, KZ Opala, Kelly Olynyk, Myers Leonard, 2025 protected pick for James Harden. Okay, so I see this trade pop up a lot, man, and people, come at me saying like, "Yo, Crispy, like you are disrespecting James Harden. You just don't think he's worth anything, right?" I'm not saying James Harden's not worth anything. I just don't think he's needed on the Miami Heat. I feel like with the Miami Heat, what you guys have going is already fantastic. And Tyler Hero, I do feel like the sky is the limit for him. And I'm not ready to give up on that yet. Like, I'm just not ready to give up on that for James Harden. That, who knows, like, I mean, James Harden kind of comes off as a guy that's like lazy good, where it's like he doesn't work hard, but he still drops numbers, which is fine. It's like, if that works for him, cool. Like, he's obviously an MVP player. But that personality is not going to mesh well with the Miami Heat culture or Jimmy Butler. And if you ask me, man, like obviously James Harden is the, stars better than everybody in this trade. But I just feel like it breaks the culture, man. I feel like that's kind of what built the Miami Heat last year getting to the finals was the culture. So, yeah, that's my only thing about it. It's just, I mean, if it happens, sure. Like James Harden, Jimmy Butler, with Bam Adebayo, Goran Dragic, if those guys can like stay happy and the chemistry's good, okay, then you got something to talk about, man. But okay. Next up, we got the Denver Nuggets with Michael Porter, R.J. Hampton, Gary Harris, 2021 first-round pick to the Washington Wizards for Bradley Beal. Okay, so I like this trade more so for the Denver Nuggets than I do for the Washington Wizards. The reason I don't really like it for the Wizards is just there's simply not enough roster spaces for Michael Porter to be part of that team. You already have something to go with Rui Hachimura. You got Denny Avdija, who's supposed to be like your starting small forward of the future. I just don't really see how Michael Porter fits in. I mean, that's like my only issue. I mean, I like his game a lot. He's great for a team out there. I don't know if he's great for the Washington Wizards. I just feel like that's too much of a logjam at the wing spot, the small forward, power forward spot. And over time, there's going to be one of those three players, have that be Denny, Rui, or Michael Porter, gets left in the dust because there's just not the minutes or the rotation for all those guys to play. So that's the only reason I don't like it. But yeah, Bradley Beal as an option with alongside Jamal Murray and Jokic obviously is, like, in my opinion, a team that can go to the NBA Finals. I mean, still got to get past the Lakers and stuff, but at least Western Conference. All right, next up, we got the Boston Celtics, Marcus Smart, Romeo Link for 2021 lottery pick for Victor Oladipo. I mean, sure, if Victor Oladipo got back to like his all-star form, it kind of makes sense, but I just kind of like Marcus Smart. Like, when I think of the Celtics, he's one of the players I heavily think of just for like what he brings to that team. And once again, man, it's just like, I feel like what Marcus Smart does for the Boston Celtics fits in better than what Victor Oladipo could do for the Celtics. It's not like a bad trade. It doesn't. I just don't think it moves the needle as much as maybe it would appear to. I don't know, man. I like what Marcus Smart brings to the Celtics. I don't really think it's needed. Next up, we got the Clippers, and this is going to be a trade off Patrick Beverley, Terrence Mann, that guy, to the Pelicans for Eric Bledsoe. So I guess getting Eric Bledsoe on the team, that does give you more like a solidified, respectable point guard, because that was kind of one of the issues with Beverley, is that it felt like players did not really respect him as a starting point guard. Meanwhile, I guess this trade, like, Cab could, I know he's like a 6'10", like kind of like a stretch big, that could be something special maybe for the Pelicans going forward, but Patrick Beverley, that allows Lonzo to be the starting point guard, Beverley coming off the bench, Terrence Mann is like a basketball player, so yeah, it's fine. Better for the Clippers, I would say, in the long run. Next up, we got the Brooklyn Nets. We got Taurean Prince, Rodion Kuroc, and a 2021 pick to the OKC Thunder for Trevor Ariza. I mean, Ariza's good and everything. Sure. That's all I really got to say about that trade is sure. Okay, that's fine. Next up, we got the Milwaukee Bucks. This is going to be a trade of DJ Wilson, Nwora, and a 2022 pick for PJ Tucker. Yeah, I mean, if the if the Rockets do decide to go and like trade James Harden away and go on full-on rebuild, then PJ Tucker services are not really needed. So with this, you get a young player with Nwora. You get a draft pick out of it. And DJ Wilson, I actually think, would work out pretty nicely with like Christian Wood. I feel like both those guys do kind of play similar, so maybe there's a nice little mentorship opportunity right there. And then obviously the Bucks and PJ Tucker. Yeah, he would be a good like starting or bench player for that team. Like, I'm cool with that. Okay, next up we have, and finally we got the Los Angeles Lakers, and this is going to be a trade of Kyle Kuzma and Alfonso McKinney to the OKC Thunder for George Hill. Okay, so not really worth it if you're a Lakers fan. You don't really need George Hill. There's plenty of other like point guards you can go for out there that would require you to not give up Kyle Kuzma, who's been looking fantastic in the preseason. So I think for that reason, I'm not doing it by itself. I mean, for the OKC Thunder, yeah, if you get like a damn 24, 25-year-old Kyle Kuzma, that just fits in nicely with your rebuild because he kind of has like that same timeline as like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and stuff. And he could probably be like a 20-point per game scorer for them next season. So I'm not giving that up from the Lakers. I mean, you could convince me like Kuzma and like McKinney for like George Hill and maybe like some other pieces. Like, hey, give me one of them first round picks protected or something, right, man? But just that by itself, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So what do you guys think about these trades? I feel like there were some decent ones here, guys, surprisingly. So not always the case with Bleacher Report, but some decent trades nonetheless. But that's all we got. Thank you all so much for watching, and peace out, my friends.